Mirette on the High Wire by Emily Arnold McCulley. Now, this starts 100 years ago. In Paris, when theaters and music halls drew traveling players from all over the world, and the best place to stay was at the Widow Gatteau's boarding house on English Street. Acrobats, jugglers, actors, and mimes from as far away as Moscow and New York City reclined on the widow's feather mattresses and devoured her kidney stews. Madame Gatteau's worked hard to make her guests comfortable, and so did her daughter, Mirette. The girl was an expert at washing linens, chopping leeks, paring potatoes, and mopping floors. She was a good listener, too. Nothing pleased her more than overhearing the vagabond players tell of their adventures in the towns along the road to Paris. One evening, a tall, sad-faced stranger arrived. He told Madame Gatteau that he was Bellini, a retired high-wire walker. "I am here to rest," he said. "I have just one room for you, Monsieur Bellini. It is in the back, where it is quiet," she said. "But it is on the ground floor, and there is no view." "Perfect," said the stranger. "I will take my meals alone." The next afternoon, when Mirette came for her sheets, there was a stranger crossing the courtyard on the air. Mirette was enchanted. Of all the things a person could do, this must be the most magical. His feet tingled as if he wanted to jump up. Her feet tingled as if she wanted to jump up on the wire besides the great Bellini. Mirette worked up that courage to speak. "Excuse me, Monsieur Bellini. I want to learn to do that," she cried. Bellini sighed. "Oh, that would not be a good idea," he said. "Once you start, your feet are never happy until they are off the ground again." "Oh, please, please teach me," Mirette begged. "My feet are already unhappy being on the ground." But he shook his head no. Mirette watched him every day. He would slide his feet onto the wire, cast his eyes ahead, and cross the wire without ever looking down. It was as if he was in a trance. Finally, she could resist it no more. When Bellini was gone, she jumped on the wire to try it herself. Her arms flailed like windmills, and the moment she was back on the ground, Bellini made it look so easy. Surely she could do it, if she just kept trying. In 10 tries, she balanced on one foot for a few seconds. In a day, she managed 3 steps without even wavering. Finally, after a week of many, many falls, she walked the length of the wire. She could not wait to show Bellini. He fell silent for a long time, and then he said, "In the beginning, everyone falls. Most, they give up. But you kept trying. Perhaps you have the talent as well." "Oh, thank you," Mirette said. She got up 2 hours early every day to finish her chores before the sun shone in the courtyard. The rest of the day was for lessons and practice. Bellini was a strict master. "Never, ever let your eyes stray," he said. And he told her day after day, "Think only of the wire. Think only of crossing to the other side." When she could cross dozens of times without falling, he taught her the wire walker's salute. Then she learned to run and lie down, and then she even learned how to do a somersault on the wire. "I will never fall again," Mirette shouted. "Do not boast," Bellini said, so sharply that she lost her balance. She had to jump down, falling to the ground. One night, an agent from Estes Hippodrome in London rented a room, and he noticed Bellini on his way to dinner. "What a shock to see him here," he said. "To see who?" said someone in the room. "Why, the great Bellini. Didn't you know that he was in the room in the back?" You mean the one who crossed Niagara Falls? On a 1,000-foot wire? In only 10 minutes? That's the one, shouted the mime. And on the way back, stopped in the middle and cooked an omelet on the wire with live coals. And then he opened a bottle of champagne and he toasted the crowd. Oh, the agents were so impressed. My uncle used to talk about that, said the juggler. Bellini crossed the Alps with baskets tied to his feet, fired a cannon over the bull ring in Barcelona, walked a flaming wire wearing a blindfold in Naples. The man had nerves of an iceberg, the agent said. Mirette raced to Bellini's room. Is it true? You did all of those things? Why didn't you tell me? I want to do them too. I want to go with you. I cannot take you, said Bellini. Well, why not? said Mirette. Bellini hesitated a long time. Because I am afraid, he finally said at last. Mirette was astonished. Afraid? She said. But why? Once you have fear on the wire, it never leaves, Bellini said. But you must make it leave, Mirette insisted. I cannot, said the great Bellini. Mirette turned and ran to the kitchen. Tears sprang to her eyes. She had felt such joy on the wire. Now, Bellini's fear was like a cloud, casting its black shadow on all she had learned from him. Bellini paced his room for hours. Oh, it was terrible to disappoint Mirette, and by dawn he knew that if he did not face his fear at last, he could not face Mirette. He knew what he must do. The question was, could he succeed? That night, when the agent returned, Bellini was waiting for him. The agent listened to Bellini's plan with mounting excitement. I will take care of it, he promised. I will get everything ready. To himself, he added, a big crowd will make me a tidy profit. Ha! What luck! I happen to be in Paris right now. Bellini went out to find a length of hemp with a steel cord. He borrowed a winch and worked until daylight, securing the wire. The next morning, Mirette heard the commotion on the street. Go and see what it is, her mother said. Maybe it will even cheer you up. In the square was a hubbub. The crowd was so thick she could see it at first. The agent was aiming a spotlight at the sky. The return of the great Bellini, he was shouting. Could it be? Mirette's heart was hammering in her chest. Oh, goodness. Bellini stepped out onto the wire and saluted the crowd. He took a step and froze. The crowd cheered wildly. But something was wrong. Mirette knew at once what it was. For the moment, she was frozen, just as the great Bellini was. Then she threw herself at the door behind her and she ran inside, flight after step, until she got through the skylight and onto the roof. She stretched out her arms towards the great Bellini. He smiled, and he began to walk towards her. She stepped under the wire, and with the most intense pleasure, she had always imagined she might be able to cross the sky. Bravo! Bravo! The crowd was yelling. Prodigy of the great Bellini, shouted the agent. He was beside himself, already planning the world tour of Bellini and Mirette. As for the master and his pupil, they were thinking only of one thing, the wire, and making sure they were able to cross to the end. Now, Emily Arnold McCulley, she was born in Galesburg, Illinois, and grew up as a daredevil child, always climbing trees, buildings, and she's the author of numerous books for children, including starring Mirette and Bellini. So there's more if you want. Pirate King and the Caldecott winner, Marion